call us to order at 6:03. I've got attendance already written down. Go ahead and get started. First should be public comment. So time and correspondence. Do you have some? Welcome. Did you have anything you wanted to address, or are you just here to hang out or listen?
Sorry, if you don't mind, we have the microphones. We're recording, and that's the only way.
Yeah, my name is Jack Deal. I live in the Berkshires. I just wanted to thank the township for having that accessible hunt for people like me. Back in about 16, I started not being able to get around, and I got a handicap permit to be a hunter, and you're allowed to use your vehicle and other stuff. So I was able to do this, but I never started doing it until a couple of years ago because I didn't want to consider myself, like a lot of people, to be handicapped. I always say I have a slight disability because I can still get around and do things, but not like I used to. So I just wanted to say thanks to the township and you people for having a go. That's it.
You're
Awesome.
very welcome.
That's great.
I do? You're right, I do.
Yeah, that's the Board of Commissioners.
Sorry.
I loaded the same wrong one myself. So, all right, I've got it now.
Oh, they're down.
Yep. Forgot to approve minutes. Approval of minutes from this May, right? Yeah.
May's minutes. Do you second?
Thank you.
That's why the pledge allegiance was up.
Yeah. Let's write that in real quick. All right. Anybody else? Time and correspondence?
Anything to say?
Sure.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Have you come up to the thing though, if you don't mind. So that way
Otherwise,
we get it
we'll never
on.
hear you.
That way it gets all on record.
Yeah, press and hold to mute, so, no. Okay, do I have to state my name and everything else, or? Yeah, okay. Katrina Orlandini, and I just wanted to say thank you very much to the township for the beautiful fireworks. They were spectacular, and you guys do a great job. Everybody does a great job. Just one little comment, maybe, and I could probably even, I have something to show you that, it was in my car, though, picking up. I know I called in, because it was Saturday, of course, there was nobody here to pick up after the fireworks at Fairview. But there should be, like, I called and Parks and Recreations and the Public Works, and I wasn't sure who would pick up. And last year, really nobody picked up after it. And I just like to say, hey, it's all great to have a party and everything, but you got to kind of clean up afterwards. And we have a beautiful hill on Fairview Park, and it's so pristine, and there's a lot of nature and baby animals, and they eat it. Plus people like to walk their dogs up there and kids up there, and a lot of times the kids, I'm worried about the nails that I found after. Saturday and Sunday I spent a total of 5.5 hours picking up large garbage bags full of just debris all over. And I mean, I had other people coming, and it was like tall kitchen garbage bags, and I filled up 2 or 3 of those and threw them away. And I don't want anything for it. I just like the hill to be cleaned. And I know that the Public Works probably came today, or someone came today and cleaned up the hill a little bit more. But what I was worried about is not just the mortar shells. Some of them will dissipate, but a lot of them don't. But it's in my car, and I picked up a bag, but I want to show you some of the remnants that this is what I'm worried about. Even though you see that the hill might be clean, it's truly not. Within 5 minutes, there were wires, there's metal. I found 4-inch nails that they hammer, for the fireworks in, and they're shot off all around and dispersed, but there's really nobody to pick up. And if we have a budget for the beautiful fireworks, we should have just a little bit of a budget for the guys to go and pick up all the fireworks. And if not, maybe we can get creative and just say with the Boy Scouts and Girl Scouts, hey, anybody afterwards, I'll throw down $10 and say, whoever picks up the largest bags or the most bags, there'll be a little prize. Maybe that's something creative as a suggestion on here. So that's all I wanted to say is, thank you, but I always try to come with a suggestion too. But I love the park, and people walk their dogs, and with the nails and all the fuses and the wires, I'm worried the puppies are going to eat it, ingest it. Kids pick up things in their mouth. I don't want nails going through kids' feet, in the dog's paw, or anything else, or through anybody's foot on here, like if I'm wearing sandals or something like that. So that is a real concern on here. And yeah. Oh, no problem. I mean, my pleasure, but like other people shouldn't really have to do it. It should be just cleaned up afterwards. But I just asked for like 6 people because the hill's so big. If you could do 1 north, south, east, west, and 2 on top of the hill. And then they all just take, 1 spot. Because it takes a little bit of time, and get there early in the morning and then just start picking up not just some mortar shells, but can I go to my car real quick and just show you the things that are really concerning to me on here? Okay, real quick, thanks.
Sure.
Hold on. I was gonna bring it in, but I didn't put it on. I figured I'd ask for permission first. Okay. I'll just leave that there. I will take it. Yeah, no, there's nothing. I wanted to show you what I'm really concerned about. Now, this bag, this is just a little bag. I mean, there was like 8 of the bags that went in 1 large garbage bag. So I've done at least 3. At any rate, these things do not disintegrate. And they have wires and plastic that never disintegrate. Okay, that's what's all through the park. Even though it looks like cleaned up, we have it. And then, hold on here, I'll show them too. That's what I'm most concerned about, but I'm not concerned about these. Some of these all through, it's just all through the park, the mortar shells. Some of them will dissipate, most likely they don't. They have plastic cartridges that when the guys go and cut the grass, all it does is shred, and then it will rip an animal, or if they swallow it, or cut somebody's paw. So that's what's there. Okay? And I can't find the nail, but I found quite a few nails this large. And they could go through somebody's foot. Really concerned about that. But this is most concerning to me, and you won't see these a lot. I picked up so many of these. These are just little plastic wires. Okay, and then these are the fuses, and that still has powder in them. That's kind of poisonous for any baby animal. How do you know what all this stuff is? Because I just picked up all the garbage that was all over. I mean, it's not hard, I'd like to see everything neat and clean, but this is a park for all of us. And if we want to enjoy it for all of us, it's all of our responsibility to take care of our ideas. Yeah, so thank you. I mean, I'm just, okay? And this is hard. This has never don't not have garbage cans, and you don't ask people to clean up or throw it in the garbage can, you're just not gonna leave it sit there, you know? So, you know, it's important if you have the party, you clean up. And especially for the baby wildlife, especially for the kids, it's a park for everybody, and it just looks so much nicer, so, thank you.
Thank you for bringing it to our
Yeah, and
attention.
then too, also, these little strings here, they can get wrapped and choked with an animal.
Of course.
And like puppies will smell this and want to eat it. And there's also like the gunpowder that falls off and it's all the white powder. And you can't do much about it. You just have to wait till things rain and maybe people trap it down. But it is a concern for the wildlife and it is a concern for the animals. So I appreciate it and I thank you for letting me speak.
No,
Yeah.
thank you very much, Mrs. Rowland.
If Deb was here, I'm sure I could have talked to her. She would have said something about the scouts, but that would be something really easy just to coordinate with the scouts. I'm sure they use the Lafayette Pavilion for their flag retirement, so I think it's something that's very easy. Maybe a cleanup day. We just made patience. It probably won't be able to be like right after the event, maybe a couple days, but that's something very easy to organize.
That would be great. I mean, I see them, you know, at the cemetery putting flags down for the holidays and stuff, and maybe they could get a badge for it or whatnot. But it would be something that if the Boy Scouts couldn't do it, maybe the Girl Scouts could or something. And you know what? Hey, if we just throw a little prize in there of like $10, you know, or $5 for, you know, the most and $5 for the quickest bag or something. You know, something
I
like
think
that.
you should be in charge of it.
No. Yeah, be careful. You're gonna find yourself nominating yourself to do something here.
Well,
Okay, thanks. I'm just
You
gonna
know-
show these and then I will take this home with me and throw it out.
okay.
I've done enough of these, so.
Well, you brought a problem to us, and you also brought what I think all of us think is a viable solution to the problem. And that's great, because I live at the foot of when you come over the hill, my backyard faces that. And you know, do I have some litter in my yard? Yes, that's not a big deal. It is upsetting when we find dead birds afterwards, but that's the price you're going to pay for having something of that magnitude. You know, so I do understand where you're coming from with that. So thank you very much.
Okay, and I'll show them and then I will dispose of it properly. Thank you. Okay.
All right, we're going to do the director's report at the end. We're going to do old and unfinished business first. So I think we'll start with the community center. So we have some of our illustrious commissioners here. Thank you very much, both of you gentlemen, for joining. But we were hoping to see if we could have perhaps an update on the community center. You know, obviously there's a refit for 515, which is the second piece on this. So you can go out of order, whatever you'd like on that. But what we're looking for as a board was perhaps a plan or some sort of future goal for the community. Oh, no.
I think she's talking.
Oh, okay.
I should probably put which microphone do you want? I'll put a battery in it. There's a battery in that one.
Yes, she's taking all the attention.
Do you want me to go down to that one, or is it? It said it's not coming through very well, or maybe I speak. Is this better? Yeah. Okay. All right. All right. Cool. So thank you very much for coming. Got a couple commissioners here, so I appreciate that. As a board, you know, we're a little bit saddened at the lack of a dedicated recreational facility with some indoor space for, call it recreation, as opposed to just programming space, but also, courts or things of that nature. We know that there is some refit happening on the 515 location, which is the old municipal building. And, we think that's great. And I think there's an update. You can do an update on that as well if you'd like. But we're curious if it was possible to bring up or address or perhaps put a plan in place or start to talk about a plan about an actual dedicated facility, four walls, field house type thing, that we could have some actual recreational space with, and some, multi-purpose fields, things of that nature. So we invited you here this month, actually last month, but then this month to, if there's a, open discussion for that. And thank you for coming.
Yeah, I'm happy to do that. Does it make sense? It's come up, and just, you guys can hear me better? Yeah, so I guess we can probably start off with 515 Miller's Run. I do? Okay. If I sit down, my back hurts. Getting old. Yes. Yeah, so just to start off, just in talking with the board last month, I'm going to jump to 6-2, I believe. So 515 Miller's Run Road, moving forward with that, that's going to be roughly about a 15,000 square foot facility, library, open space for programming. It's going to be, and then senior center. So the senior center will be in the back left corner where it is now. That gets all redone. The front will be for programming. I think about 2,000 square feet. The last meeting, I believe, with the architects. And then the library, the goal for the library is not that it's just a library. It's that it's going to be mixed use. It can be used by, for trainings, different things. It's not just going to be the library. So the goal is, especially the rear back room of the old library, the goal is to have that as more kind of open space, so like transitional space with, I think you mentioned having like storage, so we can move tables in and out and do different things. So that's going to be about a 15,000 square foot facility, roughly $3.7 to $3.8 million, correct? I think all in, and thanks to the library, we're getting a grant for that, a matching grant of $750,000. So net to us will be about $3 million. I know we talked about back in April, May about doing some type of rec center. Obviously, the seniors are taken care of. The library is taken care of. Now, what's going to happen for a future rec center? And I was going to talk with the board. Actually, our board meeting is tomorrow night. Going to talk with the board in executive session about, first off, working with our existing architects that are working on 515 to see if they can develop a simple plan, not expensive, not spending hundreds of thousands of dollars with an architect, but just give us a ballpark on maybe a 60,000 square foot, maybe an 80,000 square foot facility, what that's going to cost per square foot. They've done a couple before in the past, so that was mentioned in the meeting as well. So we're going to engage them to see what that cost would be so they can give us a ballpark. Once we have the ballpark, which is the foundation of something, then we can start to build a plan around it and see if it's affordable. But I mean, we can tell you right now from a standpoint of cost, we just had a 25% tax increase. The township did, 6 months ago, as we all know. And, it could be very expensive. We're looking anywhere between $200 to $250 a square foot. So we're talking about a $12 to $15 million facility. We got to figure out how to pay for it, right? I mean, all of us want it. The question is, how do we sell it to the township? How do we sell it to the taxpayers? And, what's the cost going to be to carry it? Because keep in mind right now, our biggest concern is the cost of, it's the cost of capital. So bond money right now is between 7% and 8%. Our previous bonds for this building were roughly 2.5% to 3%. So if you do some quick math, you're running about $8,000 per million per month. So at $10 million, looking at $70,000 to $80,000 per month on $10 million to borrow. 4 years ago, that was $25,000. So you're looking at additional costs of $600,000 to $700,000 a year just to borrow that same amount of money that was borrowed back in 18 or 19, right, when you first did that bond. So it's just, again, it's making it affordable. It's a great idea. I think all of us feel it's needed, but we also feel we should do the 6-2 first, see how that goes, because it's going to be a nice project. It's going to give us hopefully some use for Parks and Rec, and then from there it's work on the plan for 6-1. So that's kind of where we are. And in terms of location, obviously it was always talked about having a location up here. We have over 10 acres up here, correct? That's just sitting there. So it's land that's available. It's fairly flat, and that's kind of what we're thinking. But again, is how do we pay for it? That's the biggest issue that we're facing. So, sure.
How have other communities paid for it, as far as you know?
That's a great question. Other communities have either tax raises or they have more commercial than we do. So from a standpoint of tax dollars coming in, expenses, or it's affordable, right? And there's also grant money we can get too. And I believe what Paula has talked about, grant money, and then there is a, what's it called? It's a grant we can get that's a low interest rate up to $40 million.
The USDA
Yes,
loan.
it's a USDA.
Yeah,
I was
and
thinking
that's
of
a fixed,
beef. So yes, the USDA loan.
Yeah, and that's a fixed rate around like.
It's a loan.
It's a loan.
Exactly. That's not a grant.
Right,
That's a
but
loan.
the interest rate was at 3, so it's
Okay.
not the 7 that you're talking
good.
about. We can get the loan at that lower fixed rate.
Okay. Yes. So to answer your question, it's like, for example, Upper St. Clair has more commercial, has Route 19. Now that's
But they're
changing.
an older community.
It's an older community. Yeah. Yeah, just hit it. We just hold it. Yeah.
Okay. They're an older community, way older. I remember when I moved here, there was nothing,
Yeah.
and just absolutely nothing. So we're growing like crazy.
Yeah.
What can we do to help it along to get the community center?
That's a great question. As long as we can continue with growth via commercial and less residential growth, I think it's going to be more affordable, because in terms of tax dollars coming in, it's going to be more from it's commercial growth. So if we can get more commercial growth, which it's happening down there, but as you know, there's a 5-year LRTA on most of that down there, so we're not going to see the tax revenue for another 4 or 5, 6 years.
Didn't know that.
Yes, so it's a LRTA.
Perhaps that could be the target then, when you are going to realize the increase in that revenue. I feel like it's been a goal of many people, and it's been just beyond our reach.
Yep.
And I kind of feel that again. I understand it totally.
Yeah.
But if we all can be of that mindset of, okay, when the tax revenue increases, we have to focus on the community center.
Sure.
So if we all have that goal in mind, I think that we would feel like there's a common purpose. Everybody is united in that. So
No, listen, that's a great point. I think it really comes down to it's the residents of South Fayette and it's the taxpayers. At some point, it's just doing a financial analysis to say, okay, this is going to cost us $12 million. We have $3 million to spend. So therefore, we have to, I'm just throwing numbers out, right? Just this does not stick. I'm just throwing numbers out that, okay, you have 12 million, we have 3. So we have to find $8 million. How do we do it? And sitting down with you as a board, sitting down with our board to figure that out. Is it through tax increases? If it is that okay with the, with the taxpayers, with the residents? Is it through grants? Is it different things that, we can make up that difference? And that's why, I think that's what it comes down to. All of us want it. I love recreation. I think the board loves recreation. It's been talked about for years. It's been needed. The question is, how can we make it affordable? If it can be affordable, I would think it's a yes. We just have to make it affordable.
If I can chime in real quick,
Sure.
I think what the frustration too is we've had plans now going on for 15 years, and we had the money. The bond was dedicated to that, and the money was dedicated somewhere else. So when you say we didn't have the money, and what if you're talking about like a $15 million facility? We could have scaled that down to 15, but now that bond money is gone, and we have to reborrow. So I think, at least it's my frustration, is the money was there, and now it's been reallocated to a facility. Like I think you said, so I think the library, just to put in perspective, everyone, we're getting 1,100 square feet, and the library is quadrupling in size.
Well, let's back up 1 minute. I'll just speak loudly so we don't get up here. When you say we had the money, it was the original bond
For this,
that the overwhelming majority of went to build this building,
Yeah.
okay?
yeah, I know.
So
Which is
the
pre-us.
remainder of that
Yeah.
bond
I know.
is what's being used for capital improvements that are needed. We have 3 bridges that have failed inspections that need to be replaced. That's not an option to not replace them. We have a public works building that's falling down that needs to be addressed. And then we had a decision to make with 515. It was either tear it down or repurpose it, right? So to go out and borrow what was originally, in the first set of drawings we inherited, a $30 million project that we tried to value engineer down and reduce to a $20 million project. To Mark's point, the money just wasn't there. If we would have went and borrowed another $20 million and put that tax burden on our residents, it just wasn't feasible to do. So that's why we had to pivot and use the remaining amount of that original bond to fund those capital improvements and the 515. So, as Mark said, we're very committed to recreation. I mean, with the work that your board did, 3 new ball fields going in Fairview, the trails.
It's amazing.
Redoing
exciting.
the turf fields. So I just want to make it very clear that the position of the board is not to try to give you what you want. It's to try to give you what we can with the money that we have.
And that's very understandable. And all of the ideas down at 515, I think they're great ideas. And I think there's going to be a flow there. And it's going to be very successful and it will be positively received. And then thinking beyond that and thinking too one day, having our facility, we need to parlay some of those ideas that are used down there. And then, of course, asking the architects for input. You know, I just feel, once again, if we see that dialogue going on, then we're going to know that you're really committed to this too. And I know you are really committed to it, but we just, we've been there.
I know. Yeah.
The door slams.
I mean, I'll be the first one to say
hours
that.
of meetings.
No, I know. Well, I get it. And again, I'll be the first one to say, I remember the meeting when we were elected, and it was like our third meeting. It was March, and I promised you guys that we'd be breaking ground up there around this time.
We ripped buildings down to do it.
Yeah, right, exactly, Chuck. I mean, as a board, we were hell bent on it, but then we started looking at the financials, and then obviously the garbage. We got slapped in the face with the garbage, right? At additional, millions of dollars over a 5-year period, but that is not in the taxes, right? So that was extra. So there was just different things that happened. Obviously, with this building, was roughly $20 million of the $30 million bond that was available. So, that was an issue that was unfortunately inherited. It is what it is, but listen, as Chuck alluded to, we love recreation. I have 3 kids that have gone through this school. It changes kids' lives. It is needed. It's important. Everyone tells me all the time, Mark, this is what we need. This is what we need. This is what we need. Again, as Chuck alluded to, we just have to be able to afford it and figure out a way to do it. But again, it's really up to our residents to say, okay, listen, if the number's 30% increase in taxes to build that, we have to get a majority of our taxpayers, our residents, say, okay. If they don't, as a board, we're not doing our due diligence and our duty to say yes to something and forcing it down people's throats, right? It's got to be a consensus of, I don't know what the number is, 80%, 90% of to say, yes, it's worth it, let's go. But it's up to us, as board members, both boards, and it's up to the residents to say yes to it. Because it's not ours, it's not yours, it's theirs, right?
Theirs.
So it's up to them.
Yeah.
If anyone knows a wealthy benefactor,
Someone wants to stroke a check for
Is it worth?
Ron Miller.
the Ron Miller Community Center.
Is it? So I think Upper St. Clair went through this, and I've said this many times. And like to your point, you're saying it is for the residents. So is it worthwhile, forming a dedicated resident-driven committee towards this project? And that's what Upper St. Clair did, and they would be happy to discuss what they did, because it was the residents coming to you guys saying, this is what I want, and they started smaller and ended up being bigger than what they wanted. So is that a direction we go? And then my second question is you said the architects for Miller's Run Road, would they be starting completely fresh, or is it providing any of the information from our past 15 years of planning to them, or is it completely fresh?
That's a great question. It's probably a mix of both, because keep in mind, with the first drawings had the library in there,
right,
had the senior center.
The surveys, some of the concepts, the elevation information, all that.
Well, yeah, that's
that
a good. Yes, exactly. It's a good baseline for them. So it's going to be a mix of information, but obviously it's going to be a different type structure. And I think after 15 years, I mean, we could survey the residents all. I think we know what everybody wants at this
Yes.
point. I don't think we need to do any more surveys.
in the
Maybe one
comments-
more. I don't know. But
People in the comments write, this is my third survey.
yeah,
just
stop sending me
already. So,
surveys because
yeah.
I can tell you what I want. So
Yeah.
I think it's pretty common sense exactly what they want. We just have to have just figure out a way to
Yeah.
figure out just a way to build it.
Is it directing the architects this year or budgeting to do that in 2026? Because there is no, but everything was removed from the budget this year for any planning. So,
Yeah, that's a great.
First
Yeah.
priority would be the projects we've identified, capital improvement project, including 515, public works, bridges and roads.
so no planning this year then. What I'm asking is,
25,
right, when
So in
you
terms
said,
of planning,
you
it's
said touching
a
base
cost
with-
of the architects. You mean?
Yes,
It's
yes.
just a drawing.
That's what I'm saying. Like, are you
We
going to
don't have
task
a
the
number
architects?
yet from them to say, hey guys, gals, what's it going to cost? Just to give us a basic drawing. It was discussed a little bit in the last meeting when they came in and actually did their presentation on 515 Miller's Run.
back to the envelope kind of stuff. I mean,
Yeah.
we would need to sign commitment letters, which is possible, but that could be budgeted or considered for a 26.
So no planning this year.
We're
Not firm planning. It's more like, again, it's the back of a napkin, and it's only 5 months to go in the year. So
Okay.
again,
Are we talking 2025 or are we talking 2026?
for what?
The planning part.
So just to go over some,
Yeah.
I don't mean to sound bossy, but you have more of the idea of the timeline for 515? You want to maybe review that?
Yeah, so
And then capital?
I mean, just to clarify, our 25 capital budget, we don't have planning dollars in for a community center. We do have planning dollars in and construction dollars in for the library 515 renovation, as well as some planning for the public works facility. So, these things do take some time to go through. We have been working with, I think in March, we selected a consultant. They have a conceptual design that they presented. They've given us a proposal to take that conceptual design through design development, which would include, bidding, construction drawings, that whole thing. Right now, that current schedule is to take the next couple of months and turn that concept into something that can be built, which is going to take them a few months. We're looking at a schedule of late fall, maybe early winter, being able to bid the project, and then looking at construction in the spring of next year if things stay on this timeline. They've estimated about a 9-month construction period, and I think when we are kind of halfway through that design development on 515 building, we're going to ask them to start the conceptual design for the Public Works facility right next door. And then I think, we'll kind of follow that same sequence maybe. It'll allow us to kind of have a little bit of experience. Mark mentioned the tax increase. We are kind of getting more revenues in. Our strategy is to put all of that into capital reserve so that we do have a pool of funds for a project like the community center. So I think we need a little bit of time under our belts to get there, see what monies we do have left in the bond and in the capital reserve after those two projects, see what we've added with the tax increase, and then, figure out what kind of project we can afford.
and then too, I'd mention, and hopefully by then we have more of a forecast of future revenue dollars from the Newberry market as things are starting to take place there. And, in terms of the assessments of these buildings, I mean, as of right now, we really don't know what the assessments are going to be. So as you know, taxes are based off assessed value, right? So that's going to really help us too in the next 12 to 18 months, really know what's forecasted for the next 5, 6, 7 years coming in. Because in terms of, again, the LERTA is a full 60 months. So, the first year you get 0, then 20, 40, 60, 80, 100.
So you're in limbo a little bit right now in terms of the tax. That's understandable.
Yeah, because it just happened. Obviously it's baby steps, right? We're taking steps. It's like, okay, so the house has been built and, it'd be great to get a pool. But right now we don't have the money for the pool yet, but let's try and save for it and let's figure it out. If that makes sense.
Or kind of another headwind that we've been experiencing is, if you guys read the paper with the county common level ratio. Some of the larger properties and buildings, in the township have gone through the county assessment process and have had their assessment reduced based on the CLR. So when we're projecting our budget, we're not just looking for the next year. We're trying to project 2, 3, 4 years out. So when we had to pass along a tax increase, we took into the account the expenses with waste management, because that's kind of a fixed cost. We know what that is. We can forecast for some, price increases, and we have historical data on, things like road salt and asphalt. So those are a little easier to kind of budget for. But what's not easy to budget for is if you're expecting X revenue, and all of a sudden all these appeals start coming in, and you end up with a considerable amount less. That's money you just can't make up. So in my business, you can raise price or you can sell more. It's a little bit different in government, right? There's nothing really more to sell, but people will expect and should continue to get more services, right?
Yeah,
Okay.
thank you.
So I hope that helps.
It does.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
New business, preliminary Fairview Trails site plan. Paula's sharing a document.
Yep, I just wanted to, so this is for the nature trails through Fairview. Gibson Thomas is going to go to final design for these trails, but just wanted to talk to you guys real quick, make sure there's no other additions, because this will be a NPDES permit amendment. So they want kind of the final say of where the trails are going to go before they go and get the amendment. So I'll kind of go through it. The pink is like a ADA paved trail, very easy, like I said, ADA accessible. Then the kind of blue, purple color is kind of your kind of crushed limestone path, and then the red is just your natural surface path. The main trail's not showed in this because the funding's kind of difficult. There's a funding source that's just for the main trail, so that's already underway. That's being designed, and then these are the nature trails. So, any comment? Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, thank you.
Hi, again, two things here. I live by Fairview Park. I love Fairview Park. I know it's already in the budget to do the trails and things like that, and not the ADA pass, because obviously people need those. But a lot of times, do we need all the crushed limestone pass? Because a lot of the pass going up the hill, and when you're talking about the first pavilion coming in to Fairview Park, where the white picket fence is and the cemetery, and you're going up the hill, it's just all grass at any rate, and it's natural. So why do you want to pave paradise and put up a walking lot and dig it up to put limestone there, which is so expensive, when people walk up there at any rate and there's a natural trail? Kind of can't understand that. I mean, I just want to wrap my head around we could save a lot of money by not doing that. Maybe there would be money for these gentlemen here. Of course, I don't know them, so I'm not.
You don't want money, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
At any rate, it's just some thoughts as a resident.
Yeah.
I mean, it's probably already in the works, but also they wanted to cut up and cut down by firwood and things like that. So I really want to know where they're going to cut into and back up people's houses.
I don't know.
Or what? I mean, I want a little more specifics on there, because we really don't want a lot of foot traffic with people, The more people, the more garbage. And of course, I've already mentioned, I think we need a lot more garbage cans. There's not a lot of garbage cans. If you have walking trails, you need garbage cans. Because a lot of people don't pick up after their dog, or they pick it up and throw it with a plastic bag, which is never going to disintegrate.
That'll
And
probably
the
never
garbage can
end.
is 30 feet from them. So we need more garbage cans, okay? But I also know, that takes more time from the Public Works because then they have to drive up and empty it, because nobody's going to walk up the hill and get it. So, with that, that's something to consider too. I mean, I see both sides, but I just wonder why we have to do all the paths in, like, if you're going to spend the money, spend it down, by the baseball fields where you want the people to go. But it should be a natural path going up the hill where it's pristine and natural. I mean, there's still wildlife there. And please, 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 she was talking and mentioning something about maybe somebody would want to, have hunting there. And I'm sorry if you're a hunter, but I am not. And I really am firmly against killing any animal there, especially the deer. So if they want to do it in Upper St. Clair and on Mayview Road, that's great, and you can do it wherever you want, but not in our Fairview Park, especially with a lot of kids and people there. Please don't ever think about that on here. That is something I am so strongly against, and I'll do everything in my power to make sure that never, ever, ever happens at Fairview. So that's something that I think a lot of the residents, all around the park do not want at all. But again, with the
That would
walking
be
trails-
dangerous.
Yeah, pardon me?
I think there's
very
restrictions with
dangerous.
hunting in
And I
nearby
think it would be
houses, so
dangerous,
it's not,
but I
shouldn't be an
don't-
issue.
There's a lot of acreage, but we don't have any room in our park.
No, I don't think it's a possibility,
Not
so it's a
ever,
non-issue.
no.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. I appreciate that. But just the walking trails, you know what? I could see, like, what's kind of the sense to dig up a path that's already there and people walk up, to dig it up and then have to plow it up and put limestone there going
Sure.
up the hill. I mean, if people need it because they want to enjoy the park and they need it to walk or wheelchair accessible, they should be able to enjoy the park too. But a lot of this is like a lot of fluff that we don't really need.
Sure.
I think the walking trails are a fabulous idea.
Yeah.
And I understand your sentiment regarding the limestone in that area near the white fence. I understand that. But I envision these walking paths to be a main attraction of Fairview Park, along with everything else that has been happening. So I don't think they're going to be a nuisance in any way at all. And I think they'll be discreet, somewhat discreet.
If it plays into the natural.
Yeah, I'm sure that's what they're going to do.
I mean, going up on the hill where they let off the fireworks, it's such a natural beauty.
Yes.
And they're never going to build anything around on that hill, are they? I mean, that should never be built on. That is just perfect, beautiful land. I mean, I go up there and it's you thank God for everything and you pray, and so it should
it's
just
beautiful.
be like that without having to man-made build something else and build something else. If you're going to build, it's great, but keep it down where all the pavilions are and things like that.
And keep in mind, Fairview Park is vast. So it may look like there's a network and a huge number of paths, but that is a huge area.
It is.
And then when you put those in, I think it's going to be discreet. I really do, and very inviting.
That's the plan.
If you're a walker, that's paradise.
Yeah, and it is good, and people want to walk, but also
Yeah, because it's dangerous walking on that road right now.
right, it is.
I am
It
not
is.
real comfortable with that at all.
It truly is.
Yeah.
And people do want to walk, and they have, every right to do that and with the pass. I'm just saying, maybe not so much limestone, but I mean, if it's cheaper to do chips or something like that. I mean, I don't know the price, and I didn't price it out.
Yeah, so I'll chime in if you don't mind.
Thank you.
So this all came from the Parks Master Plan with lots of surveys and people. I really want, each surface type of trail is a different type of experience. For we went through the woods, could be some biking and things like that. So this all came from the Master Parks Plan that was, from a survey. And in total, we have $1.2 million to do all these nature trails and the main trails. So the project's going to be more than 50% covered by grant funding, and just that these the different type of surfaces of the trails was pulled from the master plan and public input. Thank you.
Very good. And also, there needs to be, like, there's signs up on the hill that say, have your dog on a leash, but a lot of people don't do that.
We
And,
know
I'm
that.
a dog
We know
lover.
that.
We have dogs too. I keep mine on a leash, but a couple times, I've been chased with, and it's always 2 dogs off the leash, big dogs chasing somebody. And how about if somebody's afraid? They're a walker, they're afraid, So, it's
Yeah,
not-
we ask that you call 911 for that.
Please.
Please.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I was in the park and I encountered the same group 3 times, and it's like 3 cars, they come up, and I would say 95% of the people are following the leash law, but you've got a few that are not. And I've reminded them and I told them that this is the ordinance. It's it's not an option, and they've kind of blown me off. And so last week,
I know who you're talking about.
I was there and I saw them again, and I started to look up that number to call for the police, and lo and behold, the police came.
Oh, good.
Yeah, and the police presence there has really been increased. I've seen them there a lot. And I told the policeman exactly what had transpired over the last few weeks. And he went and parked his car and went up into those hills to find those people and tell them.
Yeah, it's usually a group on here, and they're very friendly, and a lot of times.
Yeah, but they're not following the rule.
Right, right.
And they're not from
exactly.
South Fayette.
But how about?
No, they're not
yeah,
from-
and a lot
I
of
mean,
them aren't on
yeah,
there.
yeah.
But I encountered one couple that, like, when I was walking, their dog came up and growled at me, and I said, "Can you get your dog?" It wasn't on a leash. They didn't have a leash. And they were from here to the second row. And they said no. And I said, "Can you just recall your dog so I can walk past?"
It's
And they said,
hard.
No, they were not going to do
It's
that.
very hard, and someone's going to get sued because someone's going to get bitten by a dog.
And it's going to be bad.
but we're
or another
trying.
dog, and it's expensive going to the vet. If you have dogs, you better have dog insurance.
And I just want to try, having more, there has been studies done when you have more people in the parks and more eyes on things, that's when, so when these, to your point, we're hoping these trails are very popular, you have more people using them that, right now I think the dogs are off leash up there because it's still so occluded, but when we bring these trails in, we have more people, you have, hopefully it's not as bad, so.
So
We should build a dog park.
idea.
That's so popular.
We have budgeted for a dog park. Can we build a dog park? Sure. Maybe like 5 acres.
Yeah, maybe fenced in, right, all the way down at the end. Yeah, that's true.
That's a great idea.
That's
Put that on
true.
the agenda, Jason.
Yeah, but they don't want to go there because the people, I said, there's a dog park down there, and they said, "Oh no, we want our dogs to have other friends and run free and play." Well, that's not fair to other people walking their dogs or people that are afraid of other animals or little kids. You don't want anybody getting bit or another animal getting bit.
Just call 911 whenever you see it. That's what.
Well-
Thank you for going to the park. I appreciate that.
Oh, I'm there
Thank you.
a lot, and you're welcome. I enjoy it.
What's your name?
Mary Chambon.
Mary. Nice to meet you. Thank you.
Nice to
Okay,
meet
that's
you
all I have to say.
too. And so it's going to get better because these people know I'm watching.
Oh, I'm glad.
With the increased police presence, that's the big thing right there.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, so-
I really appreciate that. That's all I have to say.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And my friendly reminder, I have friends that will happily donate time for trail building on the nature trails.
Thank you.
And speaking of bikes, e-bikes policy.
Yes.
This looks good.
The chief brought up it last month at the parks or at the Board of Commissioners meeting, and we've gotten a lot of complaints about them. A lot of complaints about in like neighborhoods and things like that. We can't do anything about that, so we're just kind of addressing in the parks. I did some research pulled from like Peters Township and Allegheny County trails. So this is kind of what we came up with, putting it into our parks ordinance so it can be enforced. Kind of the main things in here is kind of where it's allowed. I don't think, just in my opinion, I don't want to necessarily ban them from in parks because, for instance, we have Hastings down below, and once the trail's built, that hill's really steep. Like, I'm sure people with like pedal assist will want to be able to get up in the park. So I was trying to make a policy that kind of just regulates it a little bit so it's safe for all park users. And what I'm thinking is kind of limiting them to specific types of trails in the park. In here, there's terminology called shared use path. Particularly, that will be the one that's like right next to the road. It's 10 feet wide, so very wide that two-way pedestrian, two-way bike traffic can pass very, very safely. The paved kind of trail that goes up to the top of the hill could be allowed on there. But any like kind of nature trails not on there. And this would also allow it on the Panhandle Trail, but only with pedaling. In the policy, it says, they're not allowed to just zoom. They have to actually use the pedals when you're on a walking path to kind of prevent some of that, misbehavior. And it is taken from, you have to be 16 years old to be driving them. They're allowed to use it on the road, but, just follow basic road rules. So this would kind of prevent, we got a lot of complaints about them up past the water towers, on the fields, in parking lots, doing wheelies. So I was trying to make a policy where it's allowed, but a little bit more restrictions.
So clarification on the age.
Button. Hit your thing. Hit your button.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
Okay, I thought you meant for me to look at that.
Yeah.
Anyways, just on the age, it's 16 to be able to use one of those, the scooter or the e-bike.
Yep, 16, state of
Because-
Pennsylvania law. You can,
It is?
It is, but
Then
good luck
what's
enforcing
going
it.
on in Lakemont Farms?
Oh, I know.
I mean, they're 8, 9, 10 years old.
Yeah. So
I mean, they are.
One thing. So it's a state law that e-scooters are not allowed on the streets. I said e-scooters could be allowed on like the shared youth paths, because I was thinking like if a parent brings their kids scooter there to like kind of go along them on the path. But that was just my recommendation. It's kind of what you guys think.
Okay.
I read it. The write-up is good.
Thank you.
I don't think you're going to be able to keep kids out that are under 16.
Right,
But
right.
it does allow for a policy that allows the township protection.
Correct. And like I said, we get a complaint about a kid doing wheelies through the parking lot. Like this,
Yeah.
this was a policy that would prevent that the police have something to go off of. I have
Yeah.
something to go off to enforce it. And yeah.
Yeah.
I like that you particularly said no e-bikes or whatever inside fences. That covers a whole lot of
It's
area.
the dog
like
park.
The weird
Yes.
dog park.
So pretty much just as letting, like right now what's unfortunate is we don't have the trails in Fairview. So they're kind of restricted to the roads right now to this policy because we don't have them built. But hopefully we're doing construction next year on it that it gives them a place to actually, ride them.
Do we need to approve these?
You're going to recommend it to the Board of
Okay.
Commissioners because it will be a resolution to update.
Okay. I
the park
recommend that we
ordinance.
present this to the Board of Commissioners for approval. Second?
Second.
Is there anything else that you guys wanted to see?
No, I think we will eventually need to expand this to not only cover parks,
Yep.
but as you try to, through your active transportation plan, make the community a little bit more walkable. I think the negative connotation we all have in our mind with e-bikes is it's all these kids, right? But there is a place for them, and eventually, people may want to use them to commute to work or commute to, see their friends or their neighbors. So we'll need to think about that as we, expand that ordinance.
Yeah.
I think this is a good
Yeah.
place to start,
Yeah. Well, it does say trails and township property. So it would be here also. And like there's a path at preservation, so it could be allowed on there. This allows it on the Panhandle Trail. So yeah, it's allowing it in certain areas. But I don't know what you're going to do about Lakemont Farms. Sorry, Ron.
I'm sorry, too.
I did see two people using e-bikes coming up the road from Hastings.
Yep.
They were a little bit older, and I mean, it looked like it was a really good idea.
And they needed it,
They
yes.
sure did need it. Yeah.
Okay. You want to do the director's report now? Then we'll do open discussion after that
Sure.
if there's anything.
All right. Just an update. The ball fields are moving along. They're pretty much done with like earth movement, so everything's kind of at grade. Then they'll dig into drainage and concrete and fencing. Still kind of, we're on this timeline of finishing up by September. The splash pad, still having a little bit of technical issues. We're trying to get it so that I have remote access to like the brains of it, so I can, if we need to turn it off or turn it on or anything, we'll be able to see it remotely. So working on that. Hoping to have kind of the design and cost estimate for the multi-purpose fields later this month. So that way we can kind of get a game plan for that. We have grant money for that. With all the rain, the tennis court resurfacing, I don't have a date yet. The contractor is kind of still getting caught up on all the projects from spring, so don't have a date yet on that. As for our concession stand at the splash pad, it's going very well. Learned some things this year. We did hire a 5th park attendant just based on kids' schedules and vacation. 4. I couldn't make the schedule work with just 4. So next year I'll probably be hiring 5 or 6. Just these kids' schedules are crazy in the summertime. And it's going well. People really enjoy like having that option there at the splash pad.
And it's just between the dog park and the splash pad. It's really a busy area. I mean, it's rewarding to watch. I mean, I just feel like so many of our plans have come to fruition, and that park is no longer empty. And one other comment, the tennis courts being redone, that's great. There's a group, obviously, that comes up there, I think, on Saturday mornings, and they must form teams. And, so that was really great. I've never really looked closely at that surface. Basketball court is used, too. So is that also in need of updating or anything?
Not part of this. This was specifically grant funding through the U.S. Tennis Association, so it's just for the tennis court. But talking to Public Works, we kind of want to, the basketball is just asphalt, and the parking lot kind of next to it is bad too. That I think for next year we're in a budget to kind of just resurface the court and that parking area. We can do that in-house.
That's great.
Gibson Thomas is underway doing coordination with PennDOT on getting permission for what enhancements we can make on Mayview Road from OTB to Upper St. Clair. We have been working with Gibson Thomas. I think should be going to the Board of Commissioners to advertise to bid to pave. We are going to divide paving of the Panhandle Trail in 2 phases. Since we only got $130,000 in grant funding, that's not able to do the whole amount. So our largest stretch within South Fayette is 1.7 miles. So we're going to pave that this year. And then the second portion, we're going to hopefully budget and capital to do the remaining. And that remaining part is also a section that goes from South Fayette into, I believe, Oakdale, back into South Fayette, then into North Fayette, then back into South Fayette. So myself and John are going to reach out to those municipalities and kind of tell them their plan to see if this is something we can partner on, because it doesn't make sense just to pave our sections. That'd be really inconsistent. So that's the reason why we're breaking into 2 phases to kind of possibly partner on that second section. But hopefully about 2 miles we paved this year.
Great.
Hey, Paula, I just have a question.
Yeah.
Sorry. On the, I've been asked by a few people, what's the time frame again on the 2 turf fields in Fairview?
So the multipurpose.
Yeah.
Field turf is supposed to have preliminary cost estimate and design to me mid this month.
Okay.
And then based on that, it would come to them and then to you guys that we can start hopefully as early as fall, if possible. So I kind of already told soccer and football to do all their home games like early in the season, that if we did need to start like in October, it wouldn't affect their season. Correct.
And what's the time frame to build those? Just to have a shady start? Is it 6 months, 8 months, 2 months?
Well, based on when we can start, I got to figure out the seasons. Like if they can do both of them and get done by spring, then they could do that in 4 months. But if they can't get done by spring, I'm gonna have to do 1 field at a time. So we have 2 fields down. I mean, if they can, yeah.
Well,
So.
the fields are so, don't take this the wrong way, the fields are so bad in the spring.
Right.
They're really,
Yeah, they don't even start really until like April because of it. Yeah. So, yeah. And we might be needing some additional topsoil for the ball fields. So we might have to tee this up perfectly so we can take the dirt from those fields and bring them up to the ball fields rather than bring it in. So that's why I'm trying to get the numbers from them that we can maybe get a game plan and coordinate these 2 projects. Yeah. Yep. Yep. We had our I Can Shine camp up at the school. We had 14 campers. It was another great success. We love that program. So thank you to the school for letting us use the facilities. We had the concert in the park. Due to wet fields, we kind of had to move it to a parking lot, and actually a lot of people liked it. They liked being on asphalt, so maybe we'll keep it there. I don't know. But we'll have turf fields next year that, we don't have to worry about wet fields for, yeah. My summer intern, I tasked him with creating his own individual program. So he has come up with an event called Under the Stars, and it's going to be a karaoke and talent show right by the Rotary Pavilion. So registration's now open for that. He was responsible of kind of organizing everything, putting a budget together. He's working on trying to get sponsors for it. So if you're not doing anything, come on out. July, that's the wrong date, sorry. It's whoops. That was Touch of Truck's date. It's the last Thursday of the month. It is the 24th, July 24th. So, and having an intern has also been great because there's been a lot of things that I've been wanting to do and haven't got around to. He made quite a few how-to videos on how to register for programs, pay balances. So we get a lot of emails like, I don't know how to do this, or phone calls that they're now on our YouTube channel. We just direct them to him, and he did a really good job step by step because our registration system sometimes not user-friendly. So was glad to have him get that done for us. Yes. Yes.
I think the slide before was interesting, but it had the participation levels per program.
Yes.
And so pickleball and tennis lessons have been some of the more popular ones.
So also this, I just described the numbers. It have multiple registrations. So when you sign up for like tennis lessons or pickleball, it's like bi-week basis. So like people will register. Correct. Yeah, that's why. Yeah, but it's still very popular. Mm-hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow.
So, and help me understand this, because I looked at it again real quick this afternoon between calls. This stuff on the left-hand side, is that the number of participants?
That
Is that in dollars?
that's dollars. I don't know why Canva won't let me put dollar signs.
Do what?
Can't vote. I couldn't figure out how to do dollar signs. So the left is dollar signs.
I'd be interested to see the numbers of participants.
Yeah.
Even if it's the same person 5 times.
Don't I have that? Right here.
On the right there?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Is that the same program?
Yeah, adult yoga is not right.
It's just hard for me to see.
Yeah, so these are registrations. Like, so 79 registers for pickleball, 37 for tennis. So these are the registration numbers.
Yep.
This is revenue.
Dollars.
Yes, yes.
All right, I'll read it again tomorrow.
No, that's all I have.
All right. Any open discussion?
Just a couple things that people have asked me to mention. One, and I know this is probably addressed, I couldn't tell in the trails map, will there be a walkway along all the roads? Because people have said how scared they are.
Yes, yes. So the funding sources that we got, so we got $802,000 from the state, and it has, and you kind of have to go through PennDOT. So that funding cannot fund non-ADA trails. So that funding cannot go towards these nature trails. So this map was just for the nature trails. We're already like halfway through design for the one along the road. They're separate because of my funding sources.
Okay, so we anticipate that there will be walkways along the roads.
Yes.
When?
It's going to go, so this is, both of these should be like starting in the spring. Like hopefully we'll design, finish up this year, possibly to the board by the end of the year to advertise for bids, and then spring start construction for both of them. So the one along the trail would go from Greenwood Drive entrance, like kind of by the Lafayette Pavilion, and it would go parallel to the road all the way up to the splash pad, and then part of the ball field projects, there'll be a trail that goes around the ball fields, and then all the way down to Mayview Road.
Okay, great. And the only other thing is that the dog park is wonderful and beautiful. There are times when it is also very unsafe. And I've experienced some strange people who come there, and recently had to call 911. Also, we have an older dog, and a lot of times it's not safe because it's full of puppies, crazy puppies. So I hope there's never a plan, and I've said this many times, to close what used to be the off-leash park to dogs on leash.
I'd imagine you continue to keep that out when the trails, dogs on
Because
leash.
sometimes
yeah.
the dog park is just not feasible.
Yeah, I don't foresee that. No intention.
Okay.
I have a couple questions also. One is the speed bumps in Fairview, okay? They haven't been installed. Is that
They're
not going
supposed
to
to.
happen?
Yeah.
It's
I'll
gonna
touch
happen.
base with Public Works again. Yeah.
Oh, it's on the schedule?
It's supposed to be.
Speed bumps, Fairview Park, okay. The second thing is with the turf fields and the problems that we've had with actually activities on the fields, okay, we should be planning, if we aren't already, barriers to stop vehicles from getting access to any of the fields. Because it's too late after the fact. I'm concerned about damage to even the turf fields.
Yeah, that's a good point.
One of the plans that I was talking to Public Works about is, let me see if I can zoom in on this. Can I zoom in? One of the entry points when they vandalized the fields was along here. So it's putting boulders there, and then what I would like to do is do a couple concrete pads along this parking lot and put bleachers, so they're more, it's like a usable barrier, and then plant a tree or two in between the concrete pads. And we were looking at that as a winter project that Public Works could easily do.
So in terms of those fields being turf, it's the first two, right? It's not the one that's vertical.
It's this one and this one. Yep.
The first two.
Yep. Yep. Yep.
I was asking us too, I've had a few inquiries on disc golf. Like, I guess it's up and coming. I don't know if it's the next pickleball someday. I doubt it, but I guess like disc golf. And then Fairview, people have been, I guess they love it. And there's like now these leagues for disc
Yeah.
golf. I didn't know if that's even possible in Fairview, especially the dog park. You're throwing frisbees with dogs. I don't know if that's conducive.
When we did
That
the
discussed.
when we did the Parks Master Plan,
We had,
it was more recommended at Boys Home Park because of the openness, where Fairview just has too much kind of going on and people walking around. Yeah. Yeah, I've gotten, I wonder if it's the same person or same group that they've reached out to me also. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Any other open business or open discussion? No? All right. Can move to adjourn.
Make a motion?
second.
7:14.